Summertime to me means swimming pool, warm weather, board shorts, flip-flops, oh yeah, and Italian ices. Or at least it did when I was a kid, that little wooden spoon scooping those things out of that little paper cup. This is the same idea. It's called a granata, and it's going to feature 4 ingredients, 2 of which, well, kiwi and lime. The other, honey and water. And I don't even know if you can actually count water as one of the ingredients. So maybe it's just 3 ingredients plus water. Either way, when you combine it all together, pop it in your freezer, it's a delicious summertime treat, and it's coming up on Culinary Nunnsense. A couple of reasons why I love this dessert. I like tart desserts, and kiwi embodies that. It's a little sweet and it's a little tart, so we'll bump up the tartness with the lime, but we don't want it too tart, so we're going to balance out the sweetness with some honey. And this is where we get all scientific in the kitchen. Into some simmering water, we're going to add some honey. And the reason that we're going to do this is that the honey, or you can also use sugar if you don't have honey, it gets in there and basically lubricates the H2O. And by that I mean it acts as a little break in between of allowing the H2O chain to fully come together. With the sugar there, it kind of stops that chain from becoming an ice cube and instead turns it into ice crystals. And you end up with all this nice little flaky, sweet and tangy, or sweet and tart in this case, kiwi and lime. I would say on average about 5 kiwis to 1 lime. For this case, we're going to use 3 kiwis, so I'll probably use about half of this. Now, in order to get all of the flavor out of this lime, I want to use the juice as well as the rind here, so we're going to zest the lime. And to do that, we're going to use, well, one of these microplanes. Once we have the zest off our lime, next we want to remove the bitter part, and that's the pith here. Just work our way around the lime. Once we remove the zest and the pith from the lime, we'll turn our attention to the kiwis, removing the fuzzy brown outside. The peeling and zesting are done, so now all we need to do is take our roughly chopped ingredients over to the processor. We want to process to combine all of these, but we don't want to overly process that. And what I mean is if you let this processor keep spinning and spinning, eventually it starts to break up some of the seeds in the kiwi, and it's going to turn your beautifully green, what will be a green dessert, into something that's sort of a muted brown. So we're just going to do it in pulses. All right, maybe just 1 or 2 more. And that looks good. How do you know when it's done? Well, you know that it's done when it looks kind of like, well, kiwi soup. You know, I was just thinking that if you have some young ones at home, this would be a great dessert to do along with them because they can help you with the next couple of steps, which are a little bit more time consuming. What we're going to do now to our kiwi soup, just pulled it out of the processor, is we're going to add in small batches here, just enough to see when it starts to become nice and thin. That looks like it's about good to go. Now we started off with 1 cup of boiling water to about 2 tablespoons of honey. If I was to add the whole thing, that would become really soupy. So what you want is something that's kind of a nice, somewhat gelatinous looking mixture, and that's before we freeze it. And here's where the kids come in. After the kiwi and lime and the sugar water have been in the freezer for about an hour or so, once it starts to set up, what you want the kids to do is give them a good strong fork and let them just scrape right across the top. And as you do so, you'll see how this just breaks up into nice little flaky pieces, still retaining some of that beautiful green color, sweet, tart, and tastes like summertime. Tart, tangy, refreshing, and as light as the snow. A little bit of work here, about every half hour having to get in there and scrape, but the effort is so, it's so worth it. It may be as cold as snow, but it certainly tastes like summer. Count the ingredients: kiwi, lime, honey, and then water. And then you've got to add your thyme. But I think if you combine those 4 ingredients, a little bit of your time, or maybe you get your kids in there to do the scraping, when it comes to Italian ice, or in this case, kiwi, lime, granata, you too will be saying, as a summertime treat, there is none better.